This is Pokemon Infinite Fusion, the fan game with over 220,000 different Pokemon combinations. And we're here today to see if we can beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of the new and improved 6.1 Modern Mode, which, since I recorded this video, has been renamed to Remix Mode. In this mode, the leader types have been changed, their team's a heck of a lot more powerful and a lot better at covering their weaknesses. And when this new patch was released and I found out that all the leader teams had changed, this actually jumped the line by like a lot of videos. And just in case you don't know how a hardcore Nuzlocke works, if a Pokemon faints, it's considered dead. The level cap is the next leader's ace, no active items can be used in battle, and we're going to be playing the games on set mode. And if you've caught any of my recent live streams, we're actually playing this mode on stream. So if you want to see all the changes for yourself, but you haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, you should definitely check those out. As always, if you like the video, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you could give the video a like and maybe leave a comment down below, that really helps out with the algorithm. But anywho, let's jump into it. Starting things off in Professor Oak's lab, we're going to choose Charmander as our starter Pokemon, since in a complete inverse, fire starters are slightly better in modern mode. On Route 1, we're going to grab the Doof. On Route 2, we're going to grab a Ralts. On Route 22, we're going to grab a Nidoran. Next up is going to be our Pyukumuku over in the Pokemart. We're going to catch an extra Spearow over on 22 and then trade it for Belly in the Pokemon Center. Our Rockruff Egg in the Secret Garden, a Riolu in the Secret Garden, a Shroomish in Viridian, and a Magby on Route 3. And I know this is a completely overused fusion, but honestly, it's one of the best I can make right now, so combining Charmander and Nidoran, we're going to get ourselves Charan. Next up is going to be the Doof with Pyukumuku to get this little fella. After hatching our Rockruff Egg, we're going to fuse the two of them up, and this combination is absolutely adorable. I love Rakulu. And now it's time for Stegon Brock and his Steely Boys. He starts off with this regular ordinary duck, and we send in Ember, doing just about 60% with an Ember. After setting up a future site, one more Ember takes the Arduck down. When his HD Jr. comes out, I'm going to swap out In-Depth Bella, so that way we can avoid the future site, as a Rock Throw comes in doing quite a bit more than I expected. After we set up a Bide, a Confusion is going to do a bit to us as we continue to store up the energy, doing about a third with our Bide. After setting up a Barrier, we have to just kind of keep on using Bide, because I don't really have another option here as we heal up with our Berry. And then once we can launch back with another Bide, we get him down into the red, activating his Berry. But after clenching our butt cheeks just one more time, and barely holding on with just 1 HP, we unleash our fury, defeating Brock for our Boulder Badge. While fighting our way across Route 3, Ember's going to evolve a few times. First into a Charan, and then one more time into a Charino. Next up is going to be Fella, who's going to evolve into its glorious form of Pukebarrel. We run into Nurse Joy outside Mount Moon, tending to this wounded Geodude. Brock comes rushing in, taking off his sunglasses and giving Nurse Joy a steely glare that steals her heart, and together they steal away together. Before we head into Mount Moon, we're going to talk to this guy and pick up a fish. In Mount Moon, we're going to grab a Cleffa. At the back of Mount Moon, we run into Team Rocket, who looks like they're attempting some sort of triple fusion. And while that seems really awesome, it must be evil because it's Team Rocket. Let's be serious here. Anywho, after they turn on the machine, the entire thing explodes because the scientist they got specializes in moonstones and not in fusion, you silly gooses. Why do you have a rock nerd fixing your fusion machine? After saving this nerd from Team Rocket, we're going to grab a fossil as a reward. On Route 4, we're going to grab ourselves a Hoot Hoot. In the Cerulean Pokemon Center, we are going to trade for a Bulbasaur. We're then going to take that Bulbasaur and fuse it up with Ralts. And the result is a little cutie. I love the little bulb, but Bulbats is going to start growing up, first evolving into an Ivitz. And then one more time into an Ivila. Next up is going to be Bolin, who's going to evolve into a Racario. Over on Nugget Bridge, we run into Rando, who says the only way that you can get past Nugget Bridge is by stuffing chicken nuggets in your pockets. But don't be ridiculous, Rando. That's not why it's called Nugget Bridge. Oh god, he already did it. Rando starts off by sending in Cottonix, and we're going to send in Ember. After stunning us with a Stun Spore, we can go for a Fire Fang, grabbing the Oko. Out next is going to come Solovie, and it goes for a quick attack, doing some good damage to us as we do just about half with a Fire Fang activating his Berry. A hidden power then absolutely slaps the crap out of us, and we have to swap out due to paralysis. And then we send in Bolin, who can tank a Psywave pretty well. Then going for a bite, we can pick up the KO on the Solovie. Next out's going to come his unfused Rockruff, and a Force Palm is more than enough to take this thing down, which is going to lead into his final Pokemon, Niniard. And going for a rock throw, we do about 50%, as a leech life is going to heal him back up a bit, but we're going to heal back up with our berry. And one more force palm is going to knock him down into the red, paralyzing him, which is going to lead into Rando healing back up. But with just 3 more hits, we get lucky, taking it down, defeating Rando. Over on Route 24, we're going to grab a Stunfisk. Over on the Cerulean Cape, we enter Bill's house, and it looks like he's accidentally fused himself up with a Rhydon? I don't know how he managed to do that. I didn't think that human fusion was possible. Anywho, after helping him reverse the fusion, he comes out looking a lot more buff than I expected, and it turns out he retained Rhydon's sturdy ability. While fighting the level cap, Bolin is going to evolve just one more time into his final form of Lycancario. And while I think all of these Kamehameha sprites are absolutely amazing, I feel like this sprite goes better with his namesake. Needing to add just one more pair to our team to face off against Misty's ice Pokemon, we are going to fuse Shroomish up with Hoot Hoot to get this adorable little Hootish, who's immediately going to evolve from a Hootish into a Noctish. And because the level cap's a little bit higher on hard mode, we're going to be able to evolve into its final form before facing off against Misty with Noctbloom. And the time has come for us to face off against Misty and our ice Pokemon. Misty starts off by sending in Amasel, and we're sending in Bolin. Bolin then goes for a Swords Dance as a feint attack does a little bit of damage to us. And with an Accelerock, we can grab the Oko on Amasel. When our Ace Frostros comes in, an Accelerock's going to knock her down way into the red as she heals up a bit with her berry, and we get knocked down to just 3 HP with a Bubble Beam. But one more Accelerock manages to take this beast down, and we earn our Cascade Badge. Now it's time for us to grab a bunch of new encounters before heading over to Vermilion City, and the first one is going to be a Natsu on Route 5, a Ladybug on 6, a Voltorb on 11, a Gible in Diglett's Cave, and after grabbing our old rod, we can grab a Quillfish, a Carvanha, finally a Wooper. After evolving Gible into a Gabite, we immediately fuse it up with our Gyarados for the absolutely ferocious Garabite. I'm gonna throw it out there though, his head is way too big for his body. We're then gonna give Ember a Moonstone so he can evolve into his second to last form of Charking. We run into Rando over on the SS Hand, where his pants are looking really greasy. Dude, do you still have those nuggets in your pocket? It's been like a month. He starts off by sending in his Niddyard, and we're going to send an Ember. Going for a Fire Fang, we're going to knock him down to his Focus Sash as he goes for a feint attack. On the following turn, Rando's going to heal up, but one more Fire Fang will take it down. Out next is going to come with Caresta, and we're going to swap out and then send in Petal as he's going to go for a Bug Bite. Going for a Magical Leaf, we're going to get him way down into the red as another Bug Bite does its thing, and we can take him down after one more Magical Leaf. Next out, Solavi. So we're going to swap out and send in 4. A Swift does some great damage to us, but a Bite brings him down to the red, activating his berry. And after our own berry gets activated, we can safely take it out. Out next is Cottonuxio. So we are going to swap out and send Ember back in as he goes to set up a Razor Leaf, doing some good damage. Then a Fire Fang takes it down in 1. His final Pokemon, Houndouruf, comes in, and it is absolutely adorable. But ultimately, it doesn't stand a chance, and we take it down after a couple of rounds, defeating Rando. And now it's time for us to take on Lieutenant Surge and his fighting Pokemon. Surge starts off by sending in Hallfisk, and we're going to send in Petal. Not really in a great place here. We're going to go for a Calm Mind on the first turn as the Hallfisk goes for a Rock Tomb, lowering our speed. Then a Low Sweep is going to knock us down to our berry, healing us up a bit, and we're going to go for a Draining Kiss, doing about 60%, activating his berry, which is also going to activate his Unburden, which means an Empowered Acrobatics knocks us down to just 1 HP, which is insane, but we managed to get the KO. Next out's going to come his Coughloom, so we're going to swap out and send an Owl Punch, as a Clear Smog does just a bit to us. Then going for a Zen Headbutt, we can quickly grab the Oko on him. When his ace Pokemon Houndblade comes in, A Rock Smash does basically nothing to us, but it does lower our defense, and stupid me used Zen Headbutt instead of Leech Seed, so we used the correct thing on the following turn. Now that we can get a little bit of chip healing in there, a Bite is going to activate our Effect Spore, and we can go for a Peck, but it does basically nothing. So I switch things up to a Force Palm, grabbing the KO, defeating Lieutenant Surge. Now that it's time to make our way down and around through Rock Tunnel, let's pick up our next few encounters. First up is our Togepi egg over in the daycare. Over on Route 9, we grab a Hawlucha. Route 10, we grab a Mareep. In Rock Tunnel, a Sableye. We also grab our Honedge. On 8, we grab a Slackoth. On 7, a Mimikyu. A Scyther in the game corner. And finally, next to this improperly disposed of toxic waste, we grab our Eevee. We meet Rando in Pokemon Tower, where he's mourning the loss of his chicken nuggets. After 2 months, he finally finished both pocketfuls, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. And I'm just most impressed by the fact that nobody died from eating those chicken nuggets. Whimsiceo comes in as his first Pokemon, and we're going to send in Ember. It uses Leech Seed on us, but we can fire back with a Flamethrower, grabbing the KO. Out next is going to come Sharpesta, and we are going to swap out and send in Vor. After getting the Intimidate off, a Water Pulse is going to do a little bit of damage to us, and we can fire back with a Dragon Rage, doing just about 50%, as a Bite gets us to about half. After Rando heals up, we can go for 2 more Dragon Rages, KOing the Pokemon. Axagon's out now, and going for a Dual Chop, we knock him out in just 1 shot. Once Dual Beat comes in, we go for a Bite, scoring a massive hit as a Psyshock comes in, absolutely wrecking us and KOing our first Pokemon of the run. We're then going to pivot, sending in Ember as he heals up with a Super Potion. We do just about half with a Flamethrower. And after a second one, he sets up a Trick Room, and then another Psyshock gets us down super low, but we managed to pick up the KO. When Honrock comes in, I really wish this thing had a custom sprite because its final evolution is so amazing. Anywho, a Rock Tomb is going to take us down to just 8 HP, but we can fire back with the Drill Run, grabbing the Yoko. When his final Pokemon Ninjard comes in, we need to swap out because I know this thing has a Focus Sash. So we do, sending in Owl Punch. Going for a Metal Claw, does some decent damage to us, and then we can fire back with a Force Palm, doing about 50%. A Bug Bite is then going to steal our Berry, healing up just a bit. Now another Force Palm is going to come in, managing to get the Paralysis off, which is awesome, which means we can outspeed, KOing it, defeating Rando. After our battle, Rando and I start powwowing about how maybe we can find new ways for him to get chicken nuggets instead of him trying to resurrect his ones he already ate, when we hear a crash on the other side of the room. It looks like Team Rocket just took some old man hostage and bringing him upstairs? Oh my god, we need to get an adult! Wait, I am an adult. Over in Celadon City, we find Rando, who's actually 2v1ing a couple of Rocket Grunts. Great job, Rando. They take off into the sewers, and Rando says that he just found out that it's a 2-for-1 sale on air fryers over at the Celadon department store. He needs to stock back up on chicken nuggets if he's going to take on the entirety of Team Rocket by himself, and then he races off. And that's when Erica, the local gym leader, comes out to investigate. She's been trying to locate Team Rocket's secret base for some time now and has long suspected that they've been in the sewers under her gym, and asks for our help in clearing them out. And how could I ever say no to you, Erica? Let's go. We can leave. After evolving both of them, we're going to fuse up Slaking with Sharpedo, and this result is absolutely amazing. I love Sharp King. So in 6.1, another cool thing is that people started submitting custom Pokedex entries for fused Pokemon. And this is the first one I've seen. That's awesome. And next up, we're going to fuse Hawlucha with Ampharos. And this sprite goes so freaking hard. Amphalucha is an absolute boss. Next up, while fighting out with the Celadon sewers, Ember is going to evolve into its final glorious form of Charking. And as much as I love the Rathalos sprite, I'm actually going to go for the Charizard X coloration here. Next up is going to be Pennel, who's going to evolve a few times. First, into an Ivysaur. And then one more time into the absolutely precious Venusaur. Also, while grinding through the sewers, we're going to grab ourselves a Grimer. After we fight through the sewers and enter Team Rocket's secret base, we split up with Erica. Less than 5 minutes after splitting up with Erica, she's already found Giovanni and unfortunately lost. So I guess it's up to us to beat Giovanni and drive Team Rocket out of her city. Giovanni starts off by sending in his launch thing, and we're going to send Ember in. A flamethrower actually manages to grab the Oko on this thing with a crit. This thing can normally be a freaking monster. But when Ketgun comes in next, it goes for a sucker punch, doing some decent damage to us as we fire back with an ice beam, doing barely a quarter. It goes for another sucker punch, getting us down into the red, activating our berry, and we fire off another flamethrower, getting him down into the red. We're then going to swap out and send an owl punch as a max potion heals it back up. Not sure what he's going to go for. I guess lucky, as he goes for a rock slide so we can grab the Yoko with a sky uppercut. When Disdain comes in, it's going to copy all of our stuff, turning into our own worst enemy, us. So we swap out, setting in Cloud Dancer as we can tank his Zen Headbutt. Then going for an Aerial Ace, we can get the Disdain down to its Focus Sash, and a Zen Headbutt is going to bring us down pretty low, but fortunately our static paralyzes it. Giovanni's then going to swap out and send in Smeargar as we do about 50% to it with our hit. We're then going to swap out a Cloud Dancer, sending in Petal as the Smeargar tries to set up a Destiny Bond. After going for a Quiver Dance, we're going to go for a Leech Seed, so if this thing wants to keep on using Destiny Bond, we're just going to wait for it to slowly kill itself. Smeargar is then going to keep on spamming Destiny Bond, so we're just going to start spamming Calm Mind so that way we can avoid hurting ourselves. And eventually, after stacking up like a billion Calm Minds, the Smeargar eventually goes down. When Disdain comes back in, it's going to turn into us, but guess what, buddy? You have like literally no health left. See ya! And with that, we've defeated Giovanni, and we drive Team Rocket out of Celadon City. And now it's time for us to take on Erica and her bug Pokemon. She starts off with her Aradalo, and we're sending in Ember. Going for a flamethrower, we do about 50%, getting the burn off, which is huge, but an Aqua Tail does a huge amount of damage to us, activating our berry. So we need to swap out, and we do, sending in Cloud Dancer as a Crush Claw comes in doing quite a bit to us. And then going for an Aerial Ace, we can get it down to basically nothing as a Rock Slide comes in, activating our berry, and the burn is just gonna barely keep this thing up as Erica heals up. Now going for an Aerial Ace, I'm not sure why I'm not karate chopping here, but we're gonna swap out and then send an Owl Punch. A Rock Slide is gonna do a heck of a lot less to us. And then going for a Leech Seed, we can get in some extra chip damage while getting some healing in. And I know this thing's part bug, but I really think a Sky Uppercut would be the best thing to do, and I do, getting it down to effectively nothing, so that way the Leech Seed can also heal us up a bit and get the KO. Out next is our Ace Vocalim, and it goes for a Quiver Dance on the first turn, and we go for a Leech Seed. It sets up a second Quiver Dance on the following turn, and we miss our Sky Uppercut. And going for a Fiery Dance, it does about 50% to us, as we do about the same with a Sky Uppercut. After going for another Fiery Dance, it's going to knock us down below half, activating our berry, and we are going to use Roost to heal back up quite a bit. Now that we're back at full, it goes for a Giga Drain, doing effectively nothing to us, and a Sky Uppercut is going to bring it down into the red, where Leech Seed is more than enough to take it down. Her final Pokemon is Scoleon. It goes for a Muddy Water on the first turn, getting us to about half, so we're going to do the same thing we already did, going for a Leech Seed to get some chip healing. It then goes for a Toxic, and a Zen Headbutt gets it down below 50%. And it goes for a Steamroller on the following turn, which means one more Zen Headbutt can secure the KO, defeating Erica. At the top of Pokemon Tower, we run into Mr. Fuji, who is actually the creator of the Master Ball. He explains what Team Rocket's master plan is, and someone needs to deal with them. But that someone really shouldn't be a 10-year-old. But I guess I'll see what I can do. And over on Route 12, we're going to play our Poke Flute for this sleeping bear. But the bear turns out to be angry at our music and attacks. Where the hell is Janine? Over on Route 12, we're gonna grab our Rosary. I'm 13 and I fetched. On 14, we grab a Swablu. Okay, and apparently when you take the egg, a Goodra attacks you now. So I guess I don't need the egg. And for our standard encounter, we grab a Slowpoke. In the Safari Zone, we're gonna grab ourselves a Tangela. Taking a pit stop over on Route 18, we're gonna grab Miltank. And now it's time for us to take on Koga and his dark Pokemon. Koga starts off by sending in an Egg Turn, but I know I know deep in my heart that this is a dirty Zoric trick. We then avoid a Sucker Punch by setting up a Calm Mind, and after it goes for a couple of play roughs, we're going to continue to set up more Calm Minds, and then go for a Draining Kiss, bringing it way down into the red as Koga heals up. Now going for another Draining Kiss, we roll a little bit higher, getting it down to its Focus Sash, which does mean that after 2 more, we can take the thing down. Knowing this thing is Clear Smog, we do as much damage as we can on the first turn, but it just decides to go for a Dark Pulse instead, which is super surprising to me as we go for another Draining Kiss, getting it down into the red. It then decides to go for a Toxic instead of clearing out all of our buffs, so okie dokie, 1 more Draining Kiss, KO. The real Age of Turn comes in, so we're going to swap out, sending in Ember as it goes for an Iron Head. And we fire back with a Flamethrower, getting him down just below half because of his Aqua Berry, but 1 more takes it out. His final Pokemon Haunchfire comes in, going for a Drill Peck, doing some pretty massive damage, and we manage to get the poison off with our Poison Point. Then going for an Earth Power, we grab the Oko, defeating Koga, earning our Soul Badge. After saving everybody in Silph-Co, we're going to grab our Lapras. We then run into Rando over in Silph-Co, where he says that the air fryers at the Celadon department store were too expensive, so he came here to Silph-Co because he hears that there's a Rotom storage here, and he plans on raiding it, because he has a really cool idea. I tell Rando that stealing is wrong and we can't do it, but he scoffs, and with a pocket full of Rotoms and another pocket full of Nuggies, he challenges us to a battle. Going for a brutal swing, it does a little bit of damage to us, but our Flamethrower fires back, doing about 2/3. And after going for an Iron Head and Earth Power, finishes off the Dobrock. Sharperona comes in next, and this thing is an absolute boss, and it evolved really early. So we're going to swap out and send in Bolin, as he goes for a Dark Pulse, doing some decent damage to us. Then firing off a Rock Slide, we should be able to grab the Oko, but not before a Dark Pulse does some massive damage to us first, activating our Berry. When Niniyard comes in, we can go for a Drill Run, doing about 1/3 as she sets up a Swords Dance. An Iron Head then KOs our good boy. Oh, that's such a big loss. So we're going to send in Ember, and the Iron Head is going to bring us down low, activating our Berry, but a Flamethrower gets the KO. When Vaporeon comes in, we're going to swap out, sending in Kisame, and a Hyper Voice is going to do some good damage to us. Another Hyper Voice is going to come in, getting us down to about 1/3 as a Bite gets her down just below half. Then this thing fires back with a Psychic, KOing our second Pokemon of this battle, and I didn't even get to use this thing. We're then going to send in Cloud Dancer, going for a Thunder Punch, getting it way down into the red as a Shadow Ball does about 1/4 to us if Rando heals up. Then after 2 more Thunder Punches, we can take down the Renuvion. With Fraxel gone in, we go for an Aerial Ace as he follows up with a Zen Headbutt, knocking us down below half. Then another Aerial Ace is going to get him down into the red, with a 3rd one getting the KO. His final Pokemon, Whimsray, comes in as an Aerial Ace, does a lot less than I expected as we get knocked down to just 27 HP. As at this point we're going to use Roost as he tries to Volt Switch out, but there's nowhere for him to run as we go for another Roost. Then switching over to Giga Drain is going to heal basically back up to full, as it then sets up a Tailwind and we heal all the way back up to full. After setting up a substitute, we're going to go for an Aerial Ace, and then we're just going to keep on trading back and forth for a little while longer as Rando keeps on trying to set up substitutes, and now he's too low to do a substitute, so we can KO it, defeating Rando. I then tell Rando that if he helps us get rid of Team Rocket, he can have as many Rotoms as he wants, and he agrees, and together we challenge Giovanni to a double battle for the fate of Saffron City. Haunchsing and Agent Magius come in on their side, and we send in Ember and Dobrock. A Shadow Ball does about 50% to the Dobrock as she fires off a Rock Slide, and we go for a Flamethrower, getting Agent Magius down into the red. Fortunately for us, the Haunchsing gets flinched, and then when Giovanni heals up with a Mega Potion, we can double back into the Agent Magius again, getting it even lower. And Accelerock then takes care of the Agent Magius, and a Flamethrower fires off at the Haunchsing, doing some really great damage. The Kekgon then goes for an Earthquake, which just absolutely wrecks both of us. We're then going to send an Owl Punch and Sharperona, as he then goes for a Rock Slide, doing some pretty great damage to us, but luckily at least the Haunting goes down. With the Kekon Leech seated, we should be able to keep up a little bit of healing while this thing completely ruins our day, and Donzor comes in. Sharperona then goes for a Surf, doing some massive damage to us. Like, dog, can you calm down? And then Kekon goes for a Rock Slide, and Sharperona gets KO'd. And then an Earthquake KOs his side of the field. He just KO'd 2 of his own Pokemon. Kraidpex is his last Pokemon, and we are left with barely anything in Owl Punch, so we are going to swap out and send in Petal. Whimsray then goes for a Giga Drain, scoring a huge hit as an Ancient Power does basically nothing to us. And after just one more turn, the Whimsray can take down Giovanni's final Pokemon. And thanks for the assist, dude. That was, like, invaluable to the team. After defeating Team Rocket, Giovanni, as well as all his grunts, blast off to parts unknown. And the Sylph President gives us a Cyndaquil for saving everybody, and Rando like 30 Rotoms. And I think I would have rather have had the 30 Rotoms. Before building our team back out, we're going to stop by our house, talk to our sister, and grab a Squirtle egg. I didn't realize I forgot to collect our fossil, so let's do that too. First up is going to be a Root fossil over on the SSN. Next up is going to be the Armor fossil over in Celadon. And finally, the Jaw fossil over in Saffron. Now that we need to start rebuilding our team, first we're going to fuse Blastoise up with Goodra, and the result is this really neat Goostoise. We're then going to give an Ice Stone to our Eevee, and a very weird move, because I don't know if I've ever actually used Glaceon in Infinite Fusion outside of an Eevee-Lock. Next, we're going to fuse Typhlosion up with Glaceon, and I have always wanted a Fire-Ice Pokemon, like, besides Darmanitan, so I'll take Glacelosion. And for our final slot, we are going to be combining Muck with Aegislash. And honestly, just the visual of like a Clockwork Politoed riding on the back of a Muck is absolutely awesome. It's then time for us to take on Sabrina and her fairy Pokemon. Sabrina starts off by sending in Togetails, and we're going to send in Dribbles. Togetail sets up a Rain Dance, and we go for a Surf, grabbing the Oko. Next out is going to come her Miracle, and it misses a Play Rough, fortunately for us, but I forget that this thing has Disguise. So when another Play Rough comes in, we get absolutely wrecked. I don't know why I didn't think it had Disguise. So we send in Gelatinous Cube, as it then goes for an Earthquake, also KOing that Pokemon. This thing is a little punk. The same thing happened on my last run. Anywho, Petal's going to set up a Calm Mind as this thing goes for another Earthquake, but finally it doesn't get the Oko, as we then go for a Leech Seed. A Play Rough is then going to knock us down to just literally 5 HP, as our Berry and Leech Seed get us back to a decent place. We can then go for a Magical Leaf, grabbing the KO. Her new Ace Rosaphore comes in, going for a Giga Drain, but fortunately it does not do a lot to us, as we can use Draining Kiss, doing an okay amount to her. We're then just going to keep on smooching, and this is definitely some weirdo's dream, 2 Gardevoirs just smooching each other, but after Sabrina starts using her max potions, we just keep on smooching as she fires off a Weather Ball. Then these two ladies are going to keep on giving each other little psychic stares and smoochy kisses until inevitably Sabrina uses her second max potion. But eventually, finally, after everybody is done doing whatever it is they need to do, with a bunch of Gardevoirs doing whatever they need to do, it eventually goes down, leading into Cleflang, and it knows what you've been doing. So we're going to swap out into Cloud Dancer so we can take a Play Rough. I'm then going to use a Roost because I don't know what other moves this thing has, as another Play Rough is going to come in doing about 1/3 to us, but fortunately we get the Paralysis off. Now a Thunder Punch takes about 1/3 from her, and yes, we got the Paralysis 2 times in a row, which is huge. So another Thunder Punch is going to get him way down into the red as it activates our Berry on a Play Rough, but because we outspeed, we can take it down with just one more hit. We've earned our Marsh Badge, and you're all a bunch of dirty dogs. Over on Route 21, we're going to grab ourselves a Whimsicott. Over on Cinnabar Island, we're going to fish ourselves up a Marini. Over in the Hidden Garden, we're going to grab our Whirlpeed. On the Viridian River, we're going to grab ourselves a Trico as a static encounter, as well as a Bruxish. So it's not in the calculator yet, but just by looking at this, I have to do it. So we're going to fuse up Tyrantrum with Bruxish, and we're going to get ourselves this weird-ass Dracovish. And for our final slot, we're going to be adding probably the most annoying combination conceivable into the entire Pokemon universe, a Sablecot. In the Pokemon Mansion, we're going to grab ourselves a Lampin. And now it's time for us to take on Blaine and his Psychic Pokemon. Blaine starts off by sending in this Haunted Ball Pit, and we're going to send in Teefs. A Crunch does some pretty massive damage to Mr. Clang as he sets up a Shift Gear, increasing his attack and speed. Then he loves our Crunch so much, we go for another one, scoring the KO. Next up is going to come Woblord, and I hate Wobbuffet. I was so excited for Dracovish, and he's already gone. Anywho, we're going to send in Blink and go for a Fake Out to get a little bit of chip damage in. Then after setting up a Toxic, Woblord is going to go for a Body Slam, getting the paralysis off on us. Unfortunately, we don't get to set up the Leech Seed, but on the following turn we do, so we can get a little bit of healing in before it goes down. Next up comes this Nightmare Fuel, and we're going to set up a Leech Seed as a Meteor Mash slams us down to just 69 HP after we heal up. Oh great, it has a Flame Orb. That means it has Guts. Not knowing what I'm supposed to do here, I'm going to try to go for a Moonblast, but obviously it's going to outspeed me. And Blink goes down. Now we're going to send in Petal, going for a Draining Kiss, doing some pretty good damage as his Zen Headbutt slams us down below half, activating our Berry. On the following turn, we can go for another Draining Kiss, scoring the KO. His final Pokemon, Magmarish, comes in, and we're going to swap out and send in Shoto. After getting hit with an Aqua Jet, I can go for an Ice Beam, doing basically nothing as it then sets up a Belly Drum. It then goes for another Aqua Jet, knocking us down to just 9 as we go for another Ice Beam, getting him down pretty low. And fortunately, we freeze it, which means just one more scores the KO, and we earn our Volcano Badge. Before heading over to Mount Ember, we need to make ourselves a couple of Bomb Boys. Starting off with Electro and Quagsire, we're going to fuse the two of these silly boys together to get ourselves a Quagoad. And this face knows exactly why he's here. Next up's going to be Ambipom with Fortress, and once again, y'all know why we're here, with Ambitress. On the offshore path, we run into a Golduck. Over on the Kindle Road, we grab ourselves a Primate, and in Mount Ember, we grab ourselves a Drifblim. We find Team Rocket over at Mount Ember, where it turns out that they've captured not only all 3 legendary Cantonian birds, but they've also managed to perfect their triple fusion technology. What was once a giant computer that blew up in Mount Moon is now handheld. That's progress, baby. But this super bird, this Zap Mulkuno, needs to be stopped. Team Rocket must be stopped, and there's only one small child that can do it. And what he didn't expect as he sends out Zap Mulkuno is Boom. And a normal gem boosted explosion from Boom is almost enough to KO the 3 birds all in one shot, but not quite. But that's why we're packing Boom too, who can also explode. There we go, that's better. Normally I can do this in one, but I guess Quagsire and Electro don't have very good physical attack. And with that, the birds diffuse and leave, and Giovanni leaves Mount Ember, dejected and defeated. Don't know what's up with those black squares though. We're facing off against Giovanni, we gotta grab a couple more encounters first. We're gonna grab Hitmontop from the dojo. Next up in Palatown, we're gonna fish up a Poliwhirl. Over on Route 23, we're gonna grab a Fletchinder. And then heading back to Cinnabar Island, we're gonna hand in a bunch of our fossils. First up on the night, Aerodactyl, Lily, and finally Shieldon. Our first new team member is gonna be Primate fused up with Togekiss. And the results, Toganape is a silly little boy. But guess what? It gets even sillier. Look at this old dude. And for our final new member, at least for now, we're going to fuse up Chandelure with Golduck. And Chandelduck is a wicked fusion. And now, before we can face off against the Elite Four, we need to take on Giovanni just one more time for our Earth Badge. Giovanni sends in his Disdain, and we're going to send in Owl Punch. After it imposters us, it goes for his Zen Headbutt, knocking us down to about half, but luckily our Effect Spore paralyzes it, so when we go for it, we can get the Oko, baby. But now we're sleeping because of that same Effect Spore. when his new ace Tyranniking comes in, we have to swap out. But not knowing what to do, I have to tank to retaliate. And Owl Punch goes down. We're going to send in Shandolduck next, and we're going to go for a Will-O-Wisp to try to cut this thing's attack as it goes for a Play Rough, doing a decent amount of damage to us. Then going for a Surf, we can get it down to basically nothing, but the burn finishes the job for us. Next out comes Snorking, and fearing an electric attack, we're going to swap out, sending in Cloud Dancer as he goes for a Crunch, and our static paralyzes it. Then we're going to set up a Swords Dance as he goes for another Crunch, getting us down below half, which is going to activate our Berry. Now going for a high jump kick, we can easily KO the Snorking. With Mapamin, we're going to do the exact same thing, but not before we get Karate Chop down below half, but then we can take it down. His final Pokemon BI comes in, and this thing's a ghost, so I can't kick it, but I can certainly punch it with Thunder. And after just 2, we take it down, defeating Giovanni, and we're moving on to the league. On our way over to the Pokemon League over on Route 26, we're going to grab a Beware. Okie dokie, on Victory Road, Dragoolus, okay. And I guess we're going to keep Dragoolus as our final spot in our squad, as he evolves into his final, honestly, kind of silly looking form of Dragodrigan, which, Dragon. Doki Day. Alrighty, now that we've made it over to the Elite Four, let's take one final look at our team before we head in. First up, we have Crazy Eyes the Togeape, with Draining Kiss, Aura Sphere, Air Slash, and Flamethrower. Petal the Venevoir, with Magical Leaf, Leech Seed, Draining Kiss, and Calm Mind. Shoto the Grace Lotion, with Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Will-O-Wisp, and Eruption. Cloud Dancer the Amphalucha, with High Jump Kick, Thunder Punch, Roost, and Swords Dance. Ectoduck the Shandolduck, with Flamethrower, Will-O-Wisp, Surf, and Ice Beam. And finally, Dragon the Dragodrigan, with Aqua Tail, Crunch, Roost, and Dragon Dance. And our first Elite Four challenger is going to be Lorelei and her water Pokemon. She starts off with a Rotoad, and we send in Petal. This thing already is an absolute menace as it goes for a Thunder on the first turn. And because of the drizzle, it can't miss. And even though I'm paralyzed, we're going to keep on trying to stack up Calm Minds. It goes for a Weather Ball this time. Fortunately, we can resist all of its moves with Petal. But then it's going to Volt Switch out and then send in Gyaraku, who we then set up the Toxicon. A Play Rough from the Gyaraku is going to knock us down below half, activating our Berry, and unfortunately, we're paralyzed that turn. Our Hurricane's then going to come in doing a little bit of damage to us, but fortunately this thing's got crap special attack. And with our boost from Calm Mind, we're in a good spot until we get knocked down to just 67 HP on the following turn. We're then going to swap out and then send an Ectoduck instead as she uses her first full restore. We're going to set up Burn this time as it goes for an Aqua Tail, doing just a bit of damage to us. And then Lorelei's can use her second full restore, and we fire back with a Surf, knocking its disguise out. Then going for another Will-O-Wisp, a Hurricane's going to do just a bit of damage to us, and I don't really know what to do here, so we're just going to start going for whatever we can. Even though it's resisted, it is Stab, so a Surf does a good amount of damage to the Gyaraku, and then we can finish it off with just one more. Next up, Rotoad comes back in, and I know this thing is just going to go for a Thunder, and we don't really have any good options here, but we do send in Cloud Dancer. Then going for a Thunder Punch of our own, we get it down to about 40% as we're knocked down below half. But with just one more Thunder Punch, we can take it down. Kingstar is up next, and we outspeed it, going for a Thunder Punch, getting him down super low, as a Rock Slide is going to knock us down to about a quarter. And just one more Thunder Punch secures the kill. Pucali comes in, and I absolutely love this sprite, but hate this Pokemon. It goes for an Icicle Crash, doing some good damage to us, so we're going to swap out and send Octoduck back in, as she goes for another Icicle Crash, but now it doesn't do really anything. Setting up a Will-O-Wisp, I know that I need to let this thing just go down super slowly, because any wrong moves are going to absolutely annihilate me. Going for a Flamethrower, this thing has a Rock Berry? What the hell is that? Anywho, we're just going to keep on doing some chip damage as it continues to try to counter the nothing that we're throwing at it until we get it down to, like, literally nothing. We are so lucky. That didn't even have innards out. all of that waiting, and it didn't even have innards out? Anywho, we're going to burn Scar Tops and then go for a Flamethrower, and we're going to get it down to about a quarter as an Iron Head does a little bit of chip damage to us, and now it's just below half as a Waterfall is going to knock us a little bit lower. But with just one more Flamethrower, we can KO it, no issues. Her final Pokemon, Milatina, comes in, and we probably should swap out of Ectoduck, but not before we go for a Will-O-Wisp, and she goes for a Weather Ball, knocking us down to 31. We're then going to swap out and send in Shoto as she goes for another Weather Ball, absolutely annihilating me. I do not know what I was thinking here. So Dragon, the Draco Dragon comes in, and with all of my hopes and dreams, I go for a Dragon Dance as she goes for another Weather Ball, doing a lot more than I expected her to. And after going for a Magical Coat, we can go for a Crunch, knocking her down way into the red as the burn is going to take her down even lower. And with just one more Crunch, we take it down after missing. But we beat Lorelei. And now it's time for us to take on Bruno and his big hard rock boys. He starts off with Tyranidrah, and we're going to send in Crazy Eyes. Crazy Eyes goes for an Aura Sphere, doing about 50%, as Tyranidrah goes for a Stone Edge, doing quite a bit of damage to us. And after firing back with a Power Whip, getting us to about half, 2 Smooches take down this absolute monster. Next up is going to come Kingron, and going for an Air Slash, we need to do just enough to break this thing sturdy so Metal Burst doesn't OHKO us. We then go for an Aura Sphere, and we can pick up the KO. Up next is going to come Maripirier, and once again we're going to go for an Aura Sphere, doing about a third, as a Heat Crash comes in, knocking us down to like nothing. Which means we're going to swap out and then send an Ectoduck instead, as a Shadow Bone comes in, knocking the ever-living crap out of us. I didn't even know it had that move. But we can follow up with a Surf, picking up the KO. Next up is going to come Armalade, and this is such a cool new team for Bruno. It's like completely redone. But we're going to swap out and then send in Petal as a Stone Edge misses us. It tries to use me first, but fortunately we're grass and you can't seed it, so we throw seeds at him so we can pick up a little bit of healing while we whittle this thing down with Draining Kisses. A Leaf Blade then comes in, doing basically nothing to us, and we get a little bit more chip damage in. But after just one more Smoochy Kiss, we take it out. Aerodon, his ace, comes in, and I know this thing has Eruption, so we swap out into Dragon, the Drago Dragon, who can tank it with no issues whatsoever. After it goes for a Double Edge, it's going to do about 50% to us, and we miss our Aqua Tail, and our berry gets activated from the Sandstorm. Aerodon's then going to use Roost for, reasons, I guess. And after going for another Double Edge, it's going to knock us down below half, but we manage to pick up the KO once we connect with an Aqua Tail. His final Pokemon, Kraidluff, comes in, and we're going to swap out and send in Cloud Dancer. So when this thing tries to U-turn out, it has nowhere left to run. And we go for a Thunder Punch, delivering a mighty blow, defeating it in one fell swoop. And it's time for us to move on to Agatha and her poison Pokemon. Toxstrom comes in first, and we're going to send in Cloud Dancer, and this thing is an absolute beast. Look at him! After going for a Baleful Bunker, I knew it was going to try to use Protect there, so we're going to set up a couple of Sword Stances as it starts laying down Toxic Spikes. After getting to +6, we go for a Thunder Punch, getting him down really low, as Agatha's going to heal up for the following 2 turns. But once we connect twice in a row, we can KO. Aligar's in next, going for a Thunderbolt, and we fire back with a Thunder Punch, OHKOing. Heising's in now, and this thing is so cool, but it's done too. Clefairad's in next, and a Thunder Punch isn't very effective, so it does manage to hold on, but it does activate our berry, healing us back up a bit, so just one more takes it out. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. When our final Pokemon, Cross Pass, comes in, I kick this thing in the face, pick up the KO, and we're moving on to Lance, the administrator for Team Air. He starts whirling up his propeller hat and challenges us to a battle. Lance starts off by sending in Dark Knight as his new lead Pokemon instead of his ace Excuse You as we set up a Swords Dance. Going for a Dark Pulse, he does about 50% to us if we set up another Swords Dance, and he goes for an Iron Head, activating our berry. Then going for a Thunder Punch, we can quickly grab the Yoko on the Dark Knight. Out next is Ninetales. I love Altaria, I love Ninetales, I love this thing, but it does have a Focus Sash, so after Lance heals up, one more Thunder Punch can take it down. In next comes Metis, who's going to lower our attack a little bit, but not enough to avoid the Yoko. When Toga Flame comes in, we can go for another Thunder Punch, grabbing the KO, which is going to lead into Steven, another new Pokemon for his team, and I absolutely love this thing. But we miss our high jump kick. Why didn't I just go for Thunder Punch? Alright, so we send an Aqueduct, going for a Flamethrower, getting it down to about a third, but a Lumberry is going to cure the burn, but that also means we can KO it on the following turn. When his final Pokemon, Sceptidactyl, comes in, and Earthquake does a little bit to us, activating our berry, and we fire back with a Flamethrower, picking up the KO, defeating Lance, and we're moving on to the championship round. As we enter the champion chamber, we see what Rando has done with all those Rotom he got from Silph. He has stuffed each and every one of them into an air fryer. And each of those air fryer is frying up a batch of perfect, crispy nuggets. Rando, this is too many nuggets for one man to handle. Rando proclaims that he needs it for his new nugget restaurant that he's going to be opening here in the Champions Chamber. And I explained to him that that is a horrible business model because not only do you need to beat the Elite Four to get to the Champion Chamber, you need 8 badges to even get to the Indigo Plateau in the first place. How are you going to expand your nugget empire? Rando scoffs. And I tell him that I will complete what he started. I will defeat him here, take these nuggets, and spread them throughout the world, and there's nothing he could do to stop me. And the championship battle begins. Rando's going to swap into his new Pokemon, Nekoray, which is an absolute beast, and I do not know what to expect with this thing. So we swap Ectoduck and send in Petal as he goes for a Thunderbolt. Then Nekoray uses Photon Geyser, turning into Ultra Nekoray. Excuse you, young man. Okay, so we set up a Toxic, and then he's going to go for another Photon Geyser, getting us down super low as we set up a Leech Seed. Don't even really know where to begin here, but she's going to go for another one, KOing Petal. And down to just 3 Pokemon, we are in a really, really bad spot here as Dragon the Dragodregan comes in, tanking a Night Slash so we can roost back up. And lucky for us, the Toxic takes this monster down. Hax Menace comes in next, and I'm expecting an Outrage, so we swap out into Crazy Eyes, and I call it. Then going for a Draining Kiss, we can do about 50% as he goes for an Earthquake, just nailing us. But we managed to take him down after just one more Draining Kiss. Renuvion comes in as his next Pokemon, and we're going to swap out into Octoduck because I'm expecting a Fairy move here as it goes for a Hyper Voice, bringing us down to just 49 HP. Then going for a Surf, we do about 30% as another Hyper Voice takes us down. Dragon the Dragodregan comes in, and I really don't know what to do here, but luckily a Crunch manages to grab the KO, which is going to lead into Torterneon, who goes for a close combat, doing some massive damage to us because of our Dark typing. But now we're faster than it, so we can start using Roost, as this thing is going to continue to use close combat, lowering its own defenses. So all I have to do here is hope that he doesn't score a crit, and he'll get himself down low enough on the defensive side that I can just OHKO him. So after we let him close combat us, I think 5 times, I genuinely don't remember, he goes for an Aqua Jet, doing basically nothing to us as we heal up one more time, going for a Crunch, grabbing the KO. Out next is going to come his fully evolved Agerock, and I absolutely love this fusion, but an Aqua Tail is going to lower our attack back down to base as he goes for a Shadow Claw. And then now we're at -1. He's then going to withdraw Agerock, send in Ninsharp, and we are going to go for another Dragon Dance and then a Crunch to grab the KO. I don't know why he did that as Agerock comes back in. I should have called the King Shield, but I don't. And he goes for an Accelerock on the following turn, and we don't even do half. We're going to roost to get back up a little bit so then we can go for another Dragon Dance as another Accelerock comes in nailing us. And once we're at +2, a Head Smash ravages our health bar, but he does just as much damage to himself and eventually takes himself out. And we defeat Rando. And that, everybody, is how I beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Infinite Fusion's new 6.1 Modern Mode. If you liked the video and you made it this far and you're not subscribed yet, come on, what's up with you? Over 100,000 people check out my videos every month, and we are nowhere near that number of subscribers. Y'all know what to do. Hit the button. Let me know what other kinds of runs you want to see in the comments down below, and I'll catch you all in the next video. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.